And now to talk to us more about Indonesia's aviation industry, we have with us Aviatory Indonesia's President Director, Ziva Narendra Arifin. Ziva, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, as we've just seen, there's going to be a new terminal open soon, and it looks to be quite luxurious. But in the past years or even past months, Indonesia's aviation industry, there's been a lot of problems, especially with safety and security concerns. Now, what's your thoughts on this?
It is my opinion that we've made enough commitments and very good positive commitments by the government also to replenish and rejuvenate the airport facilities all over Indonesia.
Right.
We know that the government in 2014 are aggressing towards either renewing or rebuilding new airports, as many as 26 new airports across Indonesia, to facilitate all the transportation needs for the public. But as you mentioned, there are certain issues that still prevail that lie beyond all the structures. So the key issue here is on the management part. You will have an abundance of facility. You have new terminals and you have more planes coming in and out. But the management aspect needs to be paid attention equally, if not more. And that includes on the software. What I mean by that is the management of people, the skill capacity, and the training of the airport management personnel, whether it be by Angkasa Pura or also by the authority of the airports and also the navigational part. And the second part of people management are the people that are using the facility, the public.
Right, but in this new terminal, the ultimate Terminal 3, because recently Lion Air just got a ground handling suspension, and it was quite embarrassing what happened there. Do you think it's going to happen here again?
If we can tackle on again, I stress out on the word management, if we can tackle that and really push our quality control, and we, in the aviation, especially in the airline industry, there's something that is called the ramp check. That is a frequent inspection by the government authorities to see that the operations are running normal on a day-to-day basis. If we keep puncturing on that and we monitor the quality control aspect, I believe issues such as the ground handling can be diminished eventually.
Right. Well, as you've mentioned earlier, the Indonesian government is spending a lot of money on building new infrastructure. But like you said, the problem lies in the management. So what is the government doing on the management part?
In the past 2 years alone, the Director General of Civil Aviation, especially on the people management division, have pushed a lot on trainings. So they want more people to be involved or to be enrolled in management of transportation programs, whether locally or abroad. But that needs to be accelerated and happen in a much higher pace, because as you can agree, the volume of air transportation in Indonesia have compounded surmountedly.
Yeah.
And that needs to be matched by the people managing the airport, especially if you're talking about having 26 more airports in the country.
Right.
So we're actually, in the aspect of ratio, we have less people to manage the facilities.
Right.
So I think the government needs to pay serious attention in capacity building, having more people.
Right. And how about the issue with the pilots? Do you think the pilots in Indonesia are qualified enough?
In terms of qualifications, as long as you can see that everything runs normally in terms of operation of flight, and then preparation of flight, post-flight, everything is run safely, then you can say that the pilots are qualified or they're capable and they're skilled enough. But in terms of in a requirement criteria of becoming an Indonesian pilot is also becoming a concern right now, because we have not enough training facilities to produce new pilots. We have more pilots retiring now than pilots actually being recruited. Mind you that by the time an ab initio, or let's say a cadet, a junior pilot graduates from a flying school, they're not immediately be entered into a airline transportation or airline operation program.
Right.
There needs to be additional trainings that need to be gone through, so that means more time to invest in one person before they can jump into an airline operation.
Right.
So it needs to happen fast enough, but also need to look at the criteria, at the requirement, because the number of flying hours that these new pilots get when they graduate and the flying hours that the airline industry all over the world needs there's a huge gap in between.
Right.
So it's a matter of filling that gap that needs to be paid attention now.
Right. And currently, how many new pilots need more time to fill the qualifications of being a suitable pilot for international flights or domestic flights, and how many are about to enter retirement?
If we look at in the past discussions and especially now ongoing, we have a total of 450 and 750 in official number of unemployed new pilots right now in Indonesia.
Right.
That's a combination of graduates from local institution and also from foreign graduates. So then you ask the questions, why aren't these guys flying? And then you can also take a look at the airline requirement, or not just the airline, but the air charters and other types of operation requirement. They have standard and minimum qualifications that need to be met before these new pilots can even jump in the cockpit. That includes a type rating, what it means, like if you are to fly a Boeing 737, you need to be trained in the Boeing 737.
Yeah.
Now, a jump from flying school, flying propeller small aircraft, to a Boeing 737 passenger jet, flying 100 plus passengers, that needs time, transition time.
Okay.
In any other parts of the world, that usually takes about at least a year.
Okay. Now, let's move on to other more government efforts on improving the aviation industry. Just recently, 30 new regulations have been released by the Ministry of Transportation to improve aviation safety. Do you think these regulations are going to work?
I believe that the regulations put more alerts into the way we operate. We're an archipelago, right? And with 17,000 islands, we need to support the government's commitment to increase and enforce national security, and safety, security, and then also public service, because it is a very attractive region here in Indonesia.
Yeah.
But we need not to add more regulation at this point. Rather, we need to look into the existing regulation and see on a practicality basis, on a day-to-day basis, how is it feasible? How are these new regulations implemented, and are we capable enough to control all these regulations to ensure that they are being ran in accordance?
Right.
So, in my opinion, we need not add more regulation now, but rather to monitor and optimize the existing ones.
Okay. Now, soon the Indonesian aviation industry is going to be audited by the ICAO. Do you think it's going to be a good review this time?
I hope so. I think we have more positive feedback from the international stakeholders. We have more governing bodies from ICAO, FAA, the CASA of Australia, GAA, and everyone. They all have stakeholderships in Indonesia.
Okay.
It's a very exciting region, as I mentioned, and I think that influenced a lot in our commitment to improve our performance. But it needs to be done because we're facing the open sky policy.
Right.
We need to be competitive, not in the region, but internationally.
Okay, but well, we've run out of time,
Sure.
but thank you so much for coming. And
Thank you for having me, Christian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And coming up next, we have some predictions of the Euro 2016 teams and more from the world of sports. Stay with us.